biggest game of the weekend. So many implications on this game right now. You got the two MVP favorites going head to head here. The Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. 6-point spread in this game. Anthony, look, man, they are not giving this guy his credit. Lamar Jackson, earlier this week in an interview, he was like, we're the underdogs. I love that we're the underdogs. Every time we're underdogs, we play better football. They're doubting us. He thinks he's the MVP. Brock Purdy thinks he's the MVP. Somewhere over there in the back corner, Christian McCaffrey thinks he's the MVP. And you know what I'm saying here? So 6 points for Lamar Jackson on the road. Are you taking it?
I can't. I just can't. Look, the 49ers do everything the Ravens do, just better. They run the ball better. They throw the ball better. They have a better overall defense. And the Ravens, the big storyline I think going into last week was the fact that they've gone so far into the season staying relatively healthy. And that's always been an issue for the Ravens since Lamar's gotten there. They always seem to get hurt. And look, it happened last game. The key injuries, having Mitchell go down so big. I mean, he's such an explosive back. He really diversified that running back room. I think not having him in is going to be a lot tougher because that was, the yards that he's losing being out in this game is going to have to be made up by Lamar. And I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for him to kind of play his signature style of football against this defense. His defense is quick. They can pressure quarterbacks with the best of them, and it's a very good secondary as well. I feel like this is the best defense to match up with Lamar. Personally, I'm very excited to see what Lamar can do against this caliber of a defense. I feel like it's going to be a great test for him to see if he really does belong in this MVP conversations. But look, the Purdy and Christian McCaffrey have been too consistent on the offense. I see them winning by this one by well over a touchdown.
Mm. I hate doing this because I love the San Francisco 49ers. I love a lot of what they do. I do think they win this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you give the Ravens credit for there, Anthony. You mentioned that the San Francisco 49ers do the same things the Ravens do, but better. But the Ravens are number one in the NFL in rushing yards per game at almost 30 more yards per game than the Niners. They have the better scoring defense by almost a full point. They have the better passing defense, and they have the better overall defense in terms of yards per game. And the Baltimore Ravens get to the quarterback better than any team in the NFL. They have 50 sacks on the year. That's good for number one in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers have loads of talent. And I love Brock Purdy. I've been higher on Brock Purdy all season than most people have been. But Lamar Jackson is the more dynamic quarterback. He can beat a team outside the pocket, in the pocket. To the Ravens' credit, they got him weapons. That wide receiver unit's the best unit he's had in his entire NFL career, and it's showing this season he's playing very good football. And the Ravens play the style of football that travels. It doesn't matter if they're in Baltimore, doesn't matter where they are. They run the football, they beat up the other team's quarterback. That type of football travels everywhere. I think San Francisco wins solely off the fact that I think they're more talented. I think they have the best player on the field in this game with Christian McCaffrey. I think that carries them to a win. But 6 points for the best team in the AFC, maybe the second best overall team in the NFL, is way too many points. I think this is going to be a game-winning drive by the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy needs a field goal, whatever it is, and it's going to be less than a one-score game.
Any rebuttal there before I say anything, Anthony?
Look, I understand statistically, you can say what you want about the Ravens, but when you look on game day, this is just the best team in the NFL by far in the Niners. And it's because they can go out and they can do it against the best competition in the NFL. Like, they go out and they don't only win against the best, against Cowboys and Eagles type teams, but they dominate those games. If it's a situation where they're winning those games, but they're letting it get close, I would probably look at this game a little bit different. But because, just what I'm looking at for what have the 49ers shown to me recently, they have shown that they can beat the best teams in the league, and they can do it by a significant score. I feel as if this is going to carry over. They have all the momentum in the world right now. Look, I do agree. Ravens are the best team in the AFC, but that's just how good I see this Niners team.
All right. You guys both make really good points here. And, something about the trends going on here that I want to touch on here is the underdog has won 7 games in a row on Monday Night Football. So don't know if you guys want to take that into consideration, not take that into consideration. Go ahead and do whatever you like with that. But that is a terrifying number right now if you're on the San Francisco 49ers. But hey, all trends, all things come to an end eventually. I just had to throw it out there, make you think a little bit harder, make you sweat a little bit. But look, I'm in a toss-up here because I agree with both of you to a T. Bryson's right. I think the 49ers win. Anthony thinks the 49ers win. But when it comes to the cover here, the Ravens do travel well. The Ravens do actually mark up better in the defensive categories. We all put the 49ers defense up here. Oh, they got Bosa. They're the best defense. They're not the best defense if you go look at the numbers. The Ravens are the better defense. Now, I think coaching-wise, you could give it to Shanahan in this game. Offense, I think you have to give it to the 49ers in this game. So maybe the 49ers win 2 out of 3 categories here. But let's not sleep on Harbaugh. He knows how to win big football games. This is a damn big football game. Both teams here fighting to hold on to win the AFC, to win the NFC. I just don't like the Ravens' weapons right now. They scare me. You mentioned Keaton Mitchell going down. They got no Mark Andrews. OBJ magically came back out of the hedges somewhere, and he's actually playing kind of well. But, like, that's their best receiver. And I mean, well, Riggs, no, Zay Flowers, stop it, okay? OBJ right now is at least acting like he's their wide receiver 1. I don't think that's going to stay there for very long. I don't think OBJ is going to have a big game against the 49ers. So I'm trying to find out, like, where's the big game going to come from? Who's going to give it to me? Is it going to be Gus Edwards? No. To me, the X factor in this game is the 2 little legs that are moving on Lamar Jackson. That's the X factor. Can he escape? Can he make this interesting? The 49ers, one place their defense struggles is when quarterbacks get out of the pocket, they're not a very good football team. If he can extend the plays, let Odell make some moves, do some things, let their tight end get open, move, get first downs, he could keep them in this football game. But I think keeping them in this football game is just an argue of, are they going to cover? I really don't think they win here. I think the 7 games in a row comes to an end. I have to go 49ers, even though there's this little piece of me that wants the Ravens to win here. But I've hyped up the 49ers just as much as everybody else. Anthony's been calling this since 8 weeks ago. I got to go on that train here. I got to go with them. But you know what? I'm going to keep it interesting. I'm going to go with Bryson, and I am going to take 6 points here and just try. But one other number that scares me for all you sports bettors, of course, I have to pull this number up for you. 56% of the bets, 80% of the money is on Baltimore to cover. And the problem is the line is going backwards, 5.5 points. And then 80% of the money came in and now 6 points. So you know what? I'm flipping again. I'm going with the 49ers to cover 6 points. I'm sorry, guys. But everything I look at here, every stat I see, it's making me lean more towards San Francisco. So going to do that here. Now the big question in this game, you look at the total here. Anthony, right now, 47 total points. We're arguing right now that both quarterbacks can get it done here. But we also just talked about this being 2 of the top 5 defenses in all of the NFL. Over or under 47?
I want to say, first of all, I think they nailed the 47 here, especially from a public, betting perspective, when it is the talk of all, you have 2 quarterbacks in the midst of an MVP, candidacy right now, but 2 great defenses. I think I'm going to have to take the under in this one just because of the amount of hype that's around Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson. Just the amount of talk, really, especially with having Keaton Mitchell go down. I feel like everyone knows that this game rests on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. I just don't know if he can do it alone. I think it could get close to this number. Like we have been saying, it's 2 of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL. But the weapons for the Ravens also do concern me because I think all of that's going to fall back onto Lamar. Do I think he can do it? I think he can. But it requires him playing a perfect, football game. I don't like betting for perfection. I just think it's much more of a reality that the under hits here.
Bryson, I do want to throw out there, man, when you really look at some of the numbers here, 27-24 is a big number that I think makes sense in this game, which once again screws me on my spread, screws you on your spread. Like, I totally get it here. But when you look at the numbers here, man, 2 of the top 4 offenses as well in this game. So you got 2 of the top 5 defenses, 2 of the top 4 offenses. Are you with Anthony here going with the under, or do you think that this number is simply too low?
This is really tough because it's not only 2 of the top 4 defenses. It's literally number 1 and number 2 in the NFL in scoring defenses so far. But my goodness, if you look at these offenses, they are both on tears right now. These are the last 5 games for both teams. You've got, for the Niners, 45 points, 28 points, 42, 31, 27. And for the Ravens, you have very similar numbers. They've scored 30-plus points in 3 of those games. They've scored over 20 in all 5 of them. Both these offenses are putting up points pretty easily right now. I know it's really scary because of these defenses both teams present, but I think that there are holes in both defenses that I think each team can exploit. For the Ravens, you can run the ball on them a little bit. I think in the Jags game, last week when the Jags were staying in and they were driving on the Ravens, they ran the football pretty well on them. And for the Niners, you can throw on them. They're average in the NFL when it comes to pass defense. They do not have great corners out there. So I think there are holes both teams can exploit with these offenses. It's really scary because I mentioned 1 and 2 on defensive scoring, but I'm going to go with the over here. I think this could be a classic shootout type of performance for both these teams. You got MVPs all over the field here.
Yeah, man, I have literally never been in such a toss-up on an over-under so far this year. This, Anthony, you mentioned it, man, 47 points. They couldn't have done better here. I think they did nail it here. With that said, you have to pick a direction. And I think I got to lean with Bryson here, and I got to go with the over. First of all, because it opened at 45.5. It was at 46 for multiple days. Now it's at 47. So the line movement is telling you over. Now, you might have missed the value, but I think anything without the hook at 47, it's a good enough number for me. I said 27, 24. I think it's a good realm of a number here. Maybe like a 27-20 kind of game if you're on them to cover. Like, I don't know, man, but I think 47 points is the right number, and I got to lean with the over here just because, like Bryson mentioned, you look at what the numbers that they have been putting up, and I like the over here. The thing is, I did take the Niners to cover on my second try of trying to pick who was going to cover. I did take the Niners to cover, and the only reason I think the under hits is if the Ravens are the ones that let us down here. I don't think the 49ers are going to struggle to score here. I think they're good for no matter what. 24 points in this game. The question is, what will the Ravens put up in this game? There is a good chance that the Ravens, Justin Tucker bangs 3 field goals. They only put up, 16 points in this game, something like that. And then the under does hit. Yeah, I could see that happening here. We've seen Lamar stall out. There's this little piece of me in the back of my mind when I picture this game where I see Baltimore having 3 points at halftime. That terrifies me. I could see that happening, but I got to go with the over here. Like Bryson said, shootout, so many implications, both quarterbacks trying to be the MVP. I think Lamar Jackson has a big game with his legs. Even though I'm going to fade the Ravens here, even though I'm going to go over here, I am going to go with Lamar Jackson as my anytime touchdown scorer. Of course, like everybody else in the entire world, I like Christian McCaffrey to get in. How can you not like Christian McCaffrey to get in? But I'm going to lock in Lamar Jackson as my personal anytime touchdown scorer, plus 175 here on DraftKings. You can find him in the 200s on many other books from what I've seen. Bryson, who is your favorite touchdown scorer here in this one?
I'm going to go with Isaiah Likely. You mentioned who is Lamar Jackson going to rely on in terms of weapons. I like the wide receiver unit more than most people do. I think it's a collection of really dynamic, good route running, speed type guys. But Lamar Jackson is at his best when he can rely on a tight end. You mentioned no Mark Andrews in this game. Isaiah Likely is filled in as that dynamic pass-catching tight end for them, and he has been on a tear lately, back-to-back games with a touchdown for Isaiah. So I like him to score again.
Anthony.
Man, I like that. And it seems like no matter what tight end on the field, Lamar Jackson is going to build a relationship with them. I'm talking about another quarterback receiver type relationship. And I'm talking about Brandon Ayuk's in there plus 140. Look, we can all see it every freaking Sunday. Purdy, by far, Ayuk is his favorite target in there. And especially in those kind of tight window type of throws, I feel like he has a little bit more faith and he's willing to take a little bit more of a risk getting the ball into the hands of Ayuk.
That's 4 touchdown scores for you. We love all 4 of those guys. One more time. Christian McCaffrey anytime, Brandon Ayuk anytime, Lamar Jackson anytime, and Isaiah Likely anytime. If you're going to take CMC anytime, he's minus 250. If you put him on the money line with the 49ers, you can get that up to plus money. If you want to do a same game parlay there with McCaffrey in it, because betting him straight to me, that's kind of stupid. You either got to go same game parlay or you got to bet him for 2 or you got to bet him first. But you can't bet him anytime. There's just no value in that. So, gentlemen, First of all, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Jackson's for sponsoring this one. Shout out to them. They are obviously closed today on Christmas, but make sure you head up there for the rest of the week while you got family in town. One of the best sports bars in all of Denver, 1520 20th Street in Denver, Colorado. So make sure you guys head up there and check it out.